In the heart of a bustling Nigerian town lived a family, a mid-class household brimming with love, discipline, and the occasional mischief of two young boys. I'm Dara, the younger of the two, and my elder brother Daley was my partner in every adventure. Our modest home was a place of warmth, especially as the Christmas season approached. Every December, and most times about a week to Christmas, our father, a hardworking man who works with a big corporation in the bigger city of Ibadan, would return home with gifts that made our hearts race with excitement. Toy guns, shiny plastic guns with thrilling sounds, were our prized possessions. It's a tradition to receive them a week or two before Christmas, giving us ample time to parade them around the neighborhood. Dal and I would join our friends at the end of our street, staging mock battles that echoed with laughter and the clatter of plastic triggers. Those were the days filled with the kind of joy only a child could know. But this particular Christmas, something felt off. It was December 23rd, just 2 days to the festivity, and there was no sign of our father's familiar gifts, the one that always prides with among other children in the neighborhood. Dale and I sat on the wooden bench outside our mother's small shop, a cramped space filled with rolls of colorful fabric, a sewing machine, and shelves of petty goods. Our mother, a strict seamstress with a no-nonsense demeanor, never saw the point in buying toys. To her, those things are a waste of money. You boys should be learning to be responsible, keep up with your books, and not play soldier. That is her own principles. That day, as she stepped out to buy thread from a nearby market, she left us in charge of the shop. Dale, at 12, was the more responsible one, while I, at 9, was the dreamer, always lost in thoughts of adventure. We sat there, kicking pebbles across the dusty floor, our minds heavy with worry. "What if Daddy forgot this year?" I whispered, my voice trembling with the weight of disappointment. "How shall we cope looking at other children as they play with their own toys?" Dale, ever the optimist, shrugged. "Maybe he's just delayed." Just as the sun began its descent, a familiar figure approached. It was Uncle Tunde, one of our father's younger brothers, a pharmacy student at the University of Ife. His lanky frame and wide smile were a welcome sight. "Dele! Dara!" he called out, his voice warm like the Harmattan breeze. We rushed to him, our worries momentarily forgotten. "Uncle Tunde, Daddy hasn't come yet," I blurted out, unable to hide my anxiety. He chuckled, ruffling my hair. "I just stopped by to check on you. I was at the house, but no one was there. I was here to see my brother, but since he's not here, and likewise your mother, I'll head back soon." Before leaving, Uncle Tunde reached into his pocket and handed us a small wad of Naira notes. "A little token for my boys," he said with a wink. Our eyes widened as he walked away. Dale and I stared at the money in our hands, our hearts pounding with a new kind of excitement. "This is it, Dara," Dale exclaimed, his voice brimming with determination. "God has provided a way. We can buy our toy guns ourselves." Without a second thought, we abandoned the shop, leaving the door ajar in our haste, and raced to the market. The market was a chaotic symphony of voices, the clinking of coins, and the smell of smoked fish and ripe oranges. We weaved through the crowd, our small hands clutching the money tightly, until we reached Mami Bukan's stall, where toys of all kinds were displayed. But our excitement quickly turned to dismay. The money Uncle Tunde gave us wasn't enough to buy even one of the big toy guns we were used to. "Let's get this small one," Daly suggested, pointing to a tiny plastic pistol that looked nothing like the ones our father always brought. I nodded, swallowing my disappointment. "We'll share it," I said, trying to sound brave. "It'll still be fun." We returned to the shop, the little toy gun clutched in Deli's hand, only to find our mother waiting for us. Her eyes burned with fury, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. "Where have you two been?" she bellowed, her voice cutting through the air like a whip. "You left my shop open? What if thieves had come?" Before we could explain, her gaze landed on the toy gun. "And where did you get the money for that you are holding?" she demanded. "Mummy, Uncle Tunde gave us the money," Dele stammered, his voice small. But our mother wasn't having it. She took the toy gun from us and demanded we take her to where we bought it. She grabbed us both by the ears and marched us back to the market. The shame burned hotter than the afternoon sun as we walked, the eyes of traders and passers-by following us. See these wayward boys, someone muttered. No home training, another whispered. I wanted to disappear into the ground. At Mama Ibukun's stall, our mother demanded the money back, spinning a tale about how we'd stolen from her shop. We knew it wasn't true, but questioning her will be a dangerous game, one that could earn you a slap that would leave your ears ringing for hours. Mama Ibukun, eager to avoid trouble, handed over the Naira notes without question. The little toy gun was gone, and with it, our dreams of joining the neighborhood boys in play. Back home, our mother's discipline was swift and unforgettable. The beating was of premium standard. Thereafter, she made us kneel on the hard floor, a piece of gravel under each knee, while she lectured us on responsibility and obedience. You could have been kidnapped in that market, she shouted, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. You think you're big enough to go off on your own? You will learn to wait for what is right. Tears streamed down my face as the pains from my back and knees matched the ache in my heart. Deal, ever the stronger one, held my hand, whispering, It's okay, Dara. We'll be fine. But I wasn't so sure. Barely 45 minutes after we'd settled, our tears drying on our cheeks, the sound of a car horn jolted us from our misery. It was our father, his old Peugeot 504, pulling into the compound. In his hands were 2 large bags from Kingsway, the biggest superstore in Ibadan. My heart skipped a beat as he stepped out, a wide grin on his face. Dara, Dali, come see what I brought for my boys, he called, his voice booming with pride. We ran to him, our earlier pain forgotten, and tore into the bags. There they were, 2 heavy-duty submachine toy guns, the biggest and best we'd ever seen. The plastic gleamed under the evening light, and the sound they made when we pulled the triggers was louder than anything we'd ever owned. But as I held mine, a wave of emotion crashed over me, and I broke down in tears. Not tears of joy, but of regret. Why couldn't we have waited just a little longer? Why did we let impatience lead us to a beating, to shame in the market, to losing the money gift from Uncle Tunde, when the very best was already on its way? I looked at Dele, his eyes reflecting the same realization. While we were plodding, toiling, and struggling to buy that tiny toy gun at the marketplace, our father was in Ibadan at the same time in one of the best supermarkets, carefully selecting these magnificent gifts for us. It was a failed test of trust and patience, one that left a mark deeper than the whip pains on my back and the gravel on my knees. That Christmas, we had the best toys in the neighborhood, and the other boys looked at us with envy as we played in the neighborhood. But the lesson we learned was worth more than any toy. Now I know how good it is to engage past fulfilled promises for trust and assurance of the one coming. I also learned patience for the best. Anytime I remember the inscription, Kingsway, on the big carrier bag carrying our submachine toys, guns from the supermarket in Ibadan, it goes a long way to reaffirm my faith. That's when we wait on God's promises. It will definitely come big in a King's way. Then you will realize it's worth waiting for, as the King's way is definitely bigger than our own ways. No matter the excuse for the anxiety, being in a haste before the appointment time will still make one suffer a big loss. Settling for alternatives in the face of Father's promises is automatically settling for the less. What a lesson that the pains of regrets afterwards will always be heavier than the pains of waiting once ignored. As I grow older, I come to understand that God is not a respecter of your anxiety or desperation. However, His words and promises are sure. It will certainly come to pass as long as we hold on to it. Has He said it? Certainly He will do it. Has He done it before? Definitely He will do it again. And in the course of any delay we may be experiencing, always remember, just like the King's Way inscription on the carrier bag, His thoughts are far bigger than our thoughts, and His ways bigger than our ways. We lose the more whenever we think of doing it without Him. Against every anxiety and desperation, God is always on time. He will give you perfect peace as your mind is stayed on Him. As for the money our mother got back from Mama Ibukun, I never found out what happened to it, and as we know, it's gone forever. Either she used it for her shop or for us. That's a mystery for another day. Now like and click the follow button. Also subscribe to the channel, Message in the Marketplace, for more inspirational stories like this. as you may not have the opportunity to see this again when it's gone.